Such incredible papers, such range of subjects, such depth of research, so brilliantly delivered, all of them. So thank you very much for the work you've put into those talks. Do we have any questions? The questions are to anyone you want. Yes, we've already got two, so we'll start with Daniela and then we'll move to Kim.
So thanks, Shaylin, for... Test. Thanks, Shaylin, so much for sharing your personal passion and inspiration about the drums. So I have questions for all four of you, but the one for Shaylin is different. So I'll start with my question for all of you in general, and I enjoyed and learned so much from your presentations. So I would like to know from Pascalle, Miranda, and Lewis what inspired you to choose your topic. And I would like to hear more in general, the larger body of your work that perhaps this is going towards or this is coming from. And for Shaylin, I was really interested in the concept of gifting your first drum. And I was wondering who you gifted your first drum to.
I actually just, when I moved away for university, I gave it to my mom and she hung it in her room. Yeah.
Who wants to go first? Why don't we go in order? Do you want to go first, Pascalle?
Okay, so the puppets Forsaken are, I just like them. I've been a fan of David Gifford's work and then Natalie Leduc. They're both wonderful. I don't know if it's necessarily connected to like the long-term trajectory for my own interests with my MA, but I've done things with them. I like inviting them to be a part of festivals and events. So, but that's mainly it. And also, I have a soft spot for the dadists, big time, and absurdity. So,
Miranda.
I saw this piece in Montreal, and I thought of it immediately. And I was just really curious. And I was curious about sort of art object as musical instrument, and the physical form of a musical instrument and the physical form of a work of art was something that I was like interested in exploring, kind of like in sonic and the kind of plastic space. So, yeah.
I research a lot in craft and like physically getting like your hands dirty. I've said in the introduction that I'm studying Wayne Nagin, who's a potter, and I do pottery myself as well. I just think I was looking for something that really like encapsulated, I guess pottery, right? Like it's clay.
I forgot that you said that. Now I remember. Yeah, thanks. Sorry.
No.
It's the same question.
No, it's okay.
Kim.
My question is for Pascalle, actually. And everyone is speaking to performing objects. And I'm curious to know about the idea of puppetry in the name of Puppets Forsaken. And you refer to them, to what they're performing objects as instruments. And I was wondering, could they also be puppets?
You nailed it. I think that's what's funny is that David Gifford, he's really involved a lot, both of them are, but he does a lot of the speaking for it. He's referred to them as puppets, but they are sculptural things as well. And since they're not exact replications of the Intona Ramoni, they're puppets. So they are puppets. And then a part of what they like to do is try and hide behind them, so they just look like they're operating themselves. And that is the charm of them. So yes, they are definitely puppets, just as they're sculptural instruments. Thanks.
Anyone else have a question for the students? Yes, please, Anaï.
I have a question for Miranda. Your presentation made me thought about the conversation that Jess and I had in the ferry coming to the park. And we were talking about how, the city and the noise, sometimes you feel overwhelmed, or in my case, and how in this place you feel relaxed. And before your presentation, I would say that I would run away from the noise, but after your presentation, now I'm thinking, should I play with the noise. So my question is, should we run away, mask, or play with urban noise?
Thank you. It's really interesting, like the use of like the word play or run away from, because I've done like a lot of kind of creative writing, and just thinking about like those words, when you're like, professional writers often refer to like what they do with words as playing. And then you like talk to amateur writers and they're like, I was moving it, I was editing it. And it's this idea of like kind of comfort with form. And so I think that you can run away with it, but then run away from it. But then if you decide to like kind of, I mean, if like I lived in downtown Toronto, it's really difficult to do. So if you can kind of like change your perspective and play with it. I'm not sure if that's the answer. I think also it's really amazing that we have the opportunity to come here and like have a quiet moment of contemplation, but that's not always accessible for everybody, so.
Jess.
I'm not sure if it's a question or more of a thought around background noise in general, especially in urban environments, but other environments as well. I've always wondered, as a musician, how our ambient sound field that we live in affects our perception of sound and the sounds that we make. So the example that I always think of was the first time that I went to Jamaica or the Caribbean, and I experienced like the ambient noise of like the birds and the insects. Like it's extremely loud. Like it's not like the subtle buzzing and fluttering. It's like, and I always wonder, like, that's sort of that equivalent of like your urban din that you have, right? So like, how does that shape your perception of music, or of like maybe the sounds that give you comfort or the sounds that annoy you? So it's just something so it made me think about that when I was reading about it, because I mean, I live in Montreal and it's really noisy. But yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yes, sorry, not to talk too much, but all that makes me think of just like, you know, like the phrase deafening silence. It's just, I guess, whatever you've become accustomed to hearing, right? Like that's, like sometimes it's like, oh, a bird, wow. Yeah, anyway, thank you.
Any final thoughts or questions or observations? No? Well, shall we give a big round of applause to the 4 students? And also to all the speakers, so this morning's speakers as well. Thank you so much, everybody. That wraps up all of today's formal proceedings. Karun, do you want to make an announcement? If people do want about whether people want to explore the park or various other things.
I wouldn't mind the final person that needs to work with you. I'm not sure who that is, to just do that. If anybody who's new to Hornby wants to go and explore one of the natural gorgeous areas of the island, we can arrange transport for that. Just come and let me know. There's a couple of interesting walks and stuff. We could do that from Seabreeze after you've kind of had a chance to relax, and I know that could happen today and or tomorrow. I am more than willing to or you're welcome to take a little bit of time, and I could stay back, and you could take a bit of a walk around the back side of the park, which has some of the cast stainless sculptures, which are quite interesting in some of the later series. And they're well worth taking a look at. Certainly willing to stay back and drive people who are doing that. The speakers who are presenting tomorrow maybe could also hang, and we could have a little bit of a chat. So whoever's speaking tomorrow, maybe just, I guess the students probably don't need to, because it's a similar format. Those people who have things we're doing out in the park. Maybe just immediately we can go talk about that with James, and then you can do your last 5-minute presentation. So if anybody who wants to, I would say we're supposed to end at 3:30, so we'll probably be around here for another half hour or so before we're gone. So you're welcome to walk around, and anybody who wants to go and just relax and go, that's wonderful. I would like us to try and start I know it says 9:15, but I think it would be better if we started at 9 tomorrow, just because there's going to be a lot of movement. If you want to grab some sunscreen or a hat from the co-op on your way back, that might be an idea, just because we will be doing at least 3 things outside, or two things outside. So if you're the kind of person that wears some aloe or whatever, anyway, on the way back, just ask whoever's driving to stop at the co-op and get yourself sorted out. So they'll be open till 5:30, so you do have a little bit more time. But just to note, if there's any other questions logistically, people need to get stuff to me in terms of their presentations. We can do that kind of around drinks and dinner time. So no worries there. But I would like the people who have things that are happening tomorrow to just briefly meet me outside, and Marty can stay back too. All right. Any other logistical questions? All right. Thanks a lot.